सब है रे। और रिवर्स कर सकते हैं डायरेक्ट
स्टार्ट करते हैं। हाँ करके आ जाना। आप लोग रहोगे ना यहाँ पे?
हाँ मैं इधर हूँ।
हाँ।
और अपन रिकॉर्डिंग स्टार्ट करते हैं, अगर अच्छे से हुआ तो फाइनल, वरना
हाँ नो प्रॉब्लम।
पॉज कर नहीं सकते।
हाँ
स्टार्ट कर दे, स्टार्ट कर। माइक में कर ले तब
हुआ।
सिर्फ ये बंद करो, मैं देख ले आवाज आई नहीं। अभी मैंने ये वाला कर। स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं।
Hello students, myself Dr. Sucheta Tarele, an obstetrician and gynecologist. Today we are going to discuss about menstrual cycle. In menstrual cycle, we will see first the endocrine cycle. So for menstrual cycle, we should understand the definition of menstruation. Menstruation is the visible manifestation of cyclic physiologic. हाँ
आप वापस स्टार्ट करना फर्स्ट
अच्छा।
इशू। ये देखिए, to understand menstrual cycle you need to understand its definition। फिर ऐसे आती है menstruation ऐसे।
अच्छा पहले से ऐसे।
हाँ
ओके।
आप वहाँ से स्टार्ट कीजिए। टू अंडरस्टैंड मेंस्ट्रुअल साइकिल फर्स्ट।
To understand menstrual cycle,
आप अपने सारे वर्ड्स स्टार्ट करने से पहले ना कैमरा लेंस में देखो, थोड़ी देर रुको, देन स्टार्ट करो।
to understand menstrual cycle, first we should understand the definition of menstruation. So let's begin with the definition of menstruation. Menstruation is the visible manifestation of cyclic physiologic uterine bleeding due to shedding of endometrium following
बैक से ये ना
वो
पेन
पेन ना। हाँ
ऐसे पकड़ो।
ठीक है।
अब नहीं होगा।
अभी फिर से बोलो
सिर्फ
क्या
मेंस्ट्रुएशन से स्टार्ट करो।
डेफिनेशन से।
हाँ, मेंस्ट्रुएशन इज द विजिबल, वो पढ़ रहे हैं ना।
Menstruation is the visible manifestation of cyclic physiologic uterine bleeding due to shedding of endometrium following invisible interplay of hormones through hypothalamo-pituitary ovarian axis that occurs between menarche and menopause. For menstruation to occur, we should know that the axis must be actively coordinated. The endometrium must be responsive to the ovarian hormones, that is steroids, estrogen and progesterone, and the outflow tract must be patent. Now let's see the characteristics of normal menstruation. Menarche, the age for menarche is 10 to 16 years, the average is 13 years. Menopause, nowadays menopause occurs early, so 35 to 55 years range is for menopause and average is 45 years. Mean duration of menstrual cycle is 28 days and the range is 21 to 35 days.
ये सेंटेंस रिपीट कीजिए।
Mean duration of menstrual cycle is 28 days and the range is 21 to 35 days. If the menstruation occurs within 21 days, it is known as pathology. If it occurs after 35 days, it's an abnormality. Normal blood loss during menstrual cycle is 20 ml to 80 ml. Menstrual cycle is also known as female reproductive cycle and female monthly sexual cycle. For menstrual cycle, we must understand what all organs are playing role in the female menstrual cycle, what all changes occur in the body during female menstrual cycle, and what is the purpose of these monthly menstrual cycles. Now let's see which all organs are involved in the female menstrual cycle. First is hypothalamus, second is pituitary gland, third is ovary, and fourth is uterus. This is an axis, that is hypothalamo-pituitary-ovarian uterine axis. So, to understand menstrual cycle, we must know the relationship of hypothalamus with the pituitary gland. So, in this figure, we'll see this all are the nuclei, that is the hypothalamic nuclei, and arcuate nucleus is the main regulator of the female reproductive system. So, रुका थोड़ा. So pause किया क्या?
कोई पॉज करने की जरूरत नहीं, वो कट हो जाएगा.
अच्छा. तो hypothalamus, let's begin. Hypothalamus, it's a part of limbic system. It's a small neural structure. It is made up of n number of small nuclei.
पूरा रिपीट कीजिए ऐसा.
अच्छा. Hypothalamus, it is a part of limbic system. It is a small neural structure composed of n number of small nuclei. It is situated at the base of the brain and it is below the thalamus. The weight of the hypothalamus is 4 grams. One of the most important weight of the hypothalamus is 4 grams. One of the most important function of hypothalamus is to link the nervous system to the endocrine system via the pituitary gland. So, arcuate nucleus is situated at the base of the hypothalamus. Arcuate nucleus is a large group of neuronal cell bodies that releases a special type of chemical substance, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. This gonadotropin releasing hormone and arcuate nucleus we are studying in relation to the reproductive system, female reproductive system. वापस बोलूं क्या?
आपको लगता है?
Arcuate nucleus is situated at the base of the hypothalamus. Arcuate nucleus is a large group of neuronal cell bodies.
एक काम कीजिए, आप वो फर्स्ट सेंटेंस पढ़िए एंड देन पॉइंट कीजिए कि यहाँ पर है ऐसा.
अच्छा, ये वाला
दोनों डायग्राम में दिख रहा है क्या? एक
है
लेफ्ट
ना?
में बताया फिर राइट.
Arcuate nucleus is situated at the base of the hypothalamus. Here you can see this is the arcuate nucleus and this all is the hypothalamus. This is situated at the base of the hypothalamus. Okay. And arcuate nucleus is a large group of neuronal cell bodies that releases a special type of chemical substance, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. This arcuate nucleus
कैमरा ऑन ही, मतलब ऐसा नहीं आपको बोलते ही रहना. आप अपने सेंटेंस मन में पहले बना लो एंड देन आप बोलना चाहिए. आप जितना लंबा पॉज लेंगे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, वो सब कट हो जाएगा बीच के जितना पॉज है. आप स्लाइड देख लो, क्या बोलना है प्रिपेयर कर लो एंड देन बोलो.
So, arcuate nucleus is situated at the base of hypothalamus. In this diagram, you can see this is the arcuate nucleus and it is situated at the base of the hypothalamus. Arcuate nucleus is a large group of neuronal cell bodies that releases a special type of chemical substance, that is gonadotropin releasing hormone. And this gonadotropin releasing hormone we are discussing in relation to the female reproductive system. So hypothalamus is the main organ and it has many functions. The main two functions of hypothalamus are homeostasis, that is temperature control, and hormone release. Rest of the functions are it controls the sexual activity, it has weight control function, appetite control function, regulates sleep cycles, and it regulates metabolism also, and etc. So on. फिर से बोलो.
नहीं बराबर है, मेरे को लग रहा है इधर फोटो होना चाहिए. हाँ आगे.
Okay, then we'll discuss about the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is divided into 3 lobes, that is anterior pituitary, intermediate pituitary, and posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary is also known as adenohypophysis and posterior pituitary is also known as neurohypophysis. In this diagram you can see that this is the hypothalamus, This is the pituitary stalk or infundibulum. This is the anterior pituitary gland, and this is the posterior pituitary gland. So, for female reproductive cycle, we will discuss about anterior pituitary because the main hormones are released from the anterior pituitary hormones, that are gonadotropins. So, adenohypophysis is different from posterior neural pituitary, which is the direct physical extension of hypothalamus. In this diagram, you can see that this is the posterior pituitary. It is known as neural pituitary also because these are the neuronal cell bodies present in the hypothalamus. They have axonal extensions that goes into the posterior pituitary and it ends in the posterior pituitary. So it is a neuronal extension. So it is known as neurohypophysis. And there exists unique anatomic relationship between the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary. That is, this hypothalamus and anterior pituitary, they have unique anatomic relationship that combines the elements of neuronal production and endocrine secretion. Anterior pituitary gland has no direct blood supply as posterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary gland receives blood via capillary plexus of portal vessels. These are the portal vessels. This you can see, these are all the portal vessels, and it releases the hormones that are gonadotropins, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. नहीं ये फिर से बोलती हूँ मैं पॉज कर दो ना वो
नहीं कोई जरूरत नहीं, कट हो जाएगा।
मैं सेकंड से फिर से बोलती हूँ।
आपको ब्रेक लेना है थोड़ा?
नहीं नहीं ब्रेक नहीं लेना है, फिर से मैं पूरा बोलती हूँ। For female reproductive cycle, we will discuss about anterior pituitary because from anterior pituitary we are getting the hormone that is gonadotropins, that are follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Adenohypophysis, that is anterior pituitary, is direct is
ये एक सेंटेंस ही रिपीट कर दो, पूरा मत स्टार्ट करो।
कौन सा वाला?
Adenohypophysis is different.
अच्छा, adenohypophysis is different from posterior neural pituitary, which is a direct physical extension of hypothalamus. See, this is the hypothalamus. These are neuronal cell bodies, and these are the axonal extensions that end into the posterior pituitary. So we are discussing it as posterior neural pituitary. And this anterior pituitary, it is a direct physical extension of the hypothalamus. There exists unique anatomic relationship between the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary that combines elements of neuronal production and endocrine secretion. Anterior pituitary gland has no direct blood supply as posterior pituitary, and anterior pituitary gland receives blood via rich capillary plexus of portal vessels. These all are portal vessels that originates at the median eminence of hypothalamus and descends along the posterior pituitary stalk. थोड़ा लास्ट में रॉन्ग हो गया, पिट्यूटरी स्टॉक नहीं बोला मैंने, लास्ट वाला। Anterior pituitary gland has no direct blood supply as posterior pituitary, and anterior pituitary gland receives
साउंड भी रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है तो आप उठा सकते हो।
नहीं ये मुझे पता नहीं मैंने क्यों रखा है ये
अलार्म है क्या?
अलार्म था।
हेलो, ये रिकॉर्डिंग पॉज नहीं करते, वो
अच्छा
कट कर देते बाद में।
ओके ओके ठीक है ठीक है। So, anterior pituitary gland has no direct blood supply as posterior pituitary gland, and anterior pituitary gland receives blood via rich capillary plexus of portal vessels that originates at the median eminence of hypothalamus and it descends through the pituitary stalk. Then now let's see what are the physiological events of female menstrual cycle and what all changes occurs in the female reproductive cycle and body. This we will divide it into three cycles, that is endocrine cycle, ovarian cycle and uterine or endometrial cycles. This diagram we have already discussed. These are the neuronal cell bodies that extends into the posterior pituitary, and these are the rich capillary plexus of portal veins that gives supply to the anterior pituitary. So these are the events of the menstrual cycle, endocrine cycle. So in decreased level of estrogen and progesterone from the previous menstrual cycle and catecholamines that are released from the cerebral cortex, they act on the hypothalamus that secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone from the arcuate nucleus. This gonadotropin releasing hormone, it has extremely short half-life of just 2 to 4 minutes. And this arcuate nucleus which releases gonadotropin releasing hormone, it stimulates the anterior pituitary cells that are gonadotropes. These gonadotropes in turn secretes follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. For that, we should understand what are gonadotropins. We will split this word. Gonad means ovary and tropins means growth. That is the growth action on the ovary. This follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, it has the growth action on the ovary. This follicle stimulating hormone, it is a glycoprotein and its half-life is 1 to 4 hours. And luteinizing hormone, it is also a glycoprotein and its half-life is just 20 to 30 minutes. Follicle stimulating hormone, it is secreted in the first half of the cycle, and luteinizing hormone, it is secreted in the second half of the cycle. Both these hormones, they act on the ovary and it causes estrogen production in the first half of the cycle and estrogen plus progesterone production in the second half of the cycle. So we'll see the pulsatile secretion of gonadotropin releasing hormone. Gonadotropin releasing hormone secreted by the arcuate nucleus, it has a very short half-life of just 2 to 4 minutes. It is due to the rapid proteolytic cleavage. It is a unique hormone because to be effective, it is secreted in a pulsatile fashion. Pulsatile release of gonadotropin releasing hormone influences the release of two gonadotropins, that are follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Continual infusions did not result in gonadotropin secretion, that is downregulation. It is seen in the animal studies. That means there is suppression in the release of the follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone if we are giving continual infusions. But if the same gonadotropin releasing hormone is secreted in pulsatile pattern, then it's lead to physiologic secretions pattern and follicular growth, that is upregulation. Gonadotropins. With increased number of gonadotropin releasing hormone receptors, they have greater response to gonadotropin releasing hormone exposure. In follicular phase, there are frequent small amplitude pulses, that is FSH is released, and gonadotropin hormone releasing hormone secretion, there is one pulse every 90 minutes. That I will show it in diagram. In late follicular or mid-cycle phase, both frequency and amplitude of gonadotropin releasing hormone, it increases. LH is released under the influence of feedback of progesterone on hypothalamus. In luteal phase, there is pulsatile frequency slows down and also decrease in amplitude, one pulse in every 4 to 6 hours. In this lecture, we have seen the endocrine cycle, that is release of the follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. In the next cycle, in the next lecture, sorry, in the next lecture, we will discuss the ovarian cycle. In ovarian cycle, we'll discuss how this follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, they act on the ovaries. Thank you. लेकिन थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ है लास्ट में.
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.